kind of feels like the right move. Without having to start from scratch for every character, you'd be able to keep most of the existing roster and expand from there. That would also mean that each DLC character would be a ton more work if they did a transformation thing, but in the end I think that's what it would take to release a sequel to such an awesome fighting game. And of course you would see new characters too. If the anime starts up again in the meantime, you'll see Vegeta Blue evolved, you'll see Moro, maybe another new original character like Android 21, who knows. We've gone through 6 points in total, and I think regardless of what they change, I think there will be a new story mode. I don't know if it will be good or not, but they will do at least that much. If that comes together with a netcode update, crossplay, and cosmetics, that's more than enough to justify a new sequel, even if the system changes are minor and could probably be added with a patch. That said, if they decide to skip cosmetics, netcode, crossplay, having significant changes to system mechanics that would affect the entire roster would also justify a sequel. But I don't think they would do everything on this list. It would be awesome if they did, but they honestly, they don't need to try this hard. If they release a fighter sequel, we'll all buy it, regardless of what it does. That said, if they do release a bad sequel, I doubt it will have the lifetime that Fighters had so far and could potentially ruin the entire franchise. Don't forget about today's sponsor, Skillshare, link down below for that free trial. And I pass the question off to you. What would you like to see in a fighter sequel? I'd love to read your thoughts on this. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Volku, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Man, oh man. I found a thread on Our Games, right? This one is so good. And the title of the thread on Our Games is this. Hear me out. We need a term for games that are in a specific state where only hardcore players remain who dominate in such a way that prevents any new players from being able to enjoy. So, like, you go into the game, and everybody who's playing the game has 5,000, 10,000 hours played. They're all incredibly experienced. There's no newcomers. So I read this thread, and obviously this thread is about fighting games. Like, it's all centered around fighting game discussion, right? Except it's not. The example in the thread title is Sea of Thieves. It says, wow, this game has an amazing world. It's so nice and everything, but everybody's experienced. They're all super familiar with the game. I can't do anything. Second game, Gotta be a fighting game. It's time. Where's Guilty Gear? Here it is. Dead by Daylight is the second game listed here. It's got a cool, unique gameplay experience. It's really cool, but then you don't know the meta stuff. You get killed by all the killers. You don't know how to get away from stuff. You just die, all right? But the third game, surely, it's got to be Tekken 7, right? Here it is. Rainbow Six Siege. You look at the title post here, and you're like, huh. This is talking about something that everybody is... They always say this is the problem with fighting games, is that everybody is super experienced, and when you get into the game, there's no new players left, right? Everybody's just there, try-hard, professional, combo, glue sniffer, and I can't win. So they're trying to come up with a term for when a game is in this state of play. But surely the first comment in this thread must be about fighting games, right? Because this happens to fighting games. Fighting game players tell me, Sage M, other games aren't hard. Fighting games are hard. Fighting games are the only games where when people get into them, they're so difficult and only good players are left, right? Can't happen in other games. Only fighting games. So let's see the first post. Got to be about fighting games. Huh, it's just about skill gates. All right, this guy's, he's talking about skill gate as a term or whatever. You know, that's cool. Sage M brought that up. All right, let's look at the next one. Siege. All right, somebody else brought up Siege twice. How did Siege get brought up twice before a fighting game? That's weird. Gears of War. Oh, that's weird. All right, well, not a problem. I'm sure the next one will be something else, right? Nothing in this one, right? Sea of Thieves, Dead by Daylight. Okay, these are on the topic of the thread. They won't count. Oh, this one's perfect. I opened up in this thread thinking he's gonna be talking about Dota. Wait, Dota or League? How did Dota or League come up before fighting games? I thought MOBAs were the easiest games ever. Everybody told me if you have friends, you just play a MOBA and it's the easiest game to learn ever. Way easier than fighting games. Fighting games gotta be here somewhere. TF2, Quake 3 Arena. Yet. MMOs, survival games. Survival games will come up with some fighting games. But I mean, all these games listed, the things they're describing are exactly what people say fighting games. Would it be that maybe fighting games aren't the only genre of competitive game that when you first start out feels like there's a lot of stuff to learn? Battlefield 4 got brought up. Fighting games, finally. Fighting games, I found it. We scroll all the way down, we found one. Fighting games, right here. They attract people who like mastery. Finally, we found someone who brought up fighting games. I'm happy about that. Oh, here's another comment. Same, dude. Though in Tekken's case, it really is just a difficult game, regardless of the enemy players. It has no tutorial whatsoever, which means off to YouTube to learn basic mechanics. Yeah, I watched a video that was like 50 tips for Tekken, and every single one of them was incredibly useful, but totally obtuse. It wasn't easy to learn. But of course, getting one tapped in the head by a dude with a thermal sniper doesn't... Thermal sniper? Oh, that wasn't about Tekken. That was... Oh, it said Tarkov. Well, well, well. Video game exists with no tutorial. You have to go to YouTube to learn it. Everything about it's obtuse. It doesn't make sense. You just get instantly killed by all the better players. They can beat you with any gun in the game. They can pick up any old gun in the game and beat you. Wow. You got me? Yeah, when I saw this comment in this thread, a devious idea appeared in my head. Somebody in here says, I think there's already a common term used for these games. Dead games. Oh, man. Calling Fortnite and Dead by Daylight and Siege and, you know, Counter-Strike dead games. It's a pretty interesting thread. Anyway. The reason I brought up this thread in the first place is because oftentimes when I talk about fighting game difficulty compared to other genres, people say stuff like, you know, fighting games are more obtuse and they're so difficult and they don't have tutorials and they're bad at this and they're bad at that. And that's true. We shouldn't let fighting games off the hook. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that these games all struggle with the same things that fighting games do, right? They don't have tutorials, or even if they have tutorials, they don't cover a lot, or even if these tutorials are great, you still need to go to YouTube to learn how to play the game, and the players that are Let's playing the game are experienced veteran players who know what they're doing and kick the shit out of you when you start. And the only way to get past that is to continue playing the game and get used to it, right? You can just read this thread, and instead of whatever the game that they're talking about is, put a fighting game there in your mind, and so many of the things will sound exactly like a fighting game. I don't like the rhetoric around fighting games. Fighting games are so much harder than every other genre. It's impossible to get into them, and they have all these unique things that plague them. I feel like people who play fighting games just don't play other games. Or if they do, they don't realize how much they suck at other games. Fighting games, you know, it's very easy to understand how bad you are at them because you lose. But in these other games, You loot for 5 minutes and you don't die when you drop in Warzone, and you're like, I'm the best Warzone player ever, and then you get fucking murdered, and you're like, oh yeah. And regardless of what your feelings are about fighting games, I think portraying them as different from these other games is incorrect in a lot of ways. They have their differences, but many of the things that plague fighting games plague other games. Tarkov came up, right? It was the game that I was using as a replacement for Tekken. Do you guys know anything about Tarkov? It's a game that you can play multiplayer, right? You can play with teammates and stuff, but it's not like a team built-in game. At the top of Twitch all the time is Tarkov because they have drops in the game, so people watch it. It's incredibly popular. Tarkov is brutal. I can think of very few popular games that are that fucked up. You start in an area and then you get to go around and loot or whatever, right? And do whatever you're going to do, find new stuff, get new things, and it persists on your body. And then you have to make it to an extraction point. And you die like that in the game. So you can imagine there's a guy just hiding in a corner of a building, like slowly creeping around, and he just pops you. And you've been looting for 15 minutes and you just get shot and die and lose all your loot. But it's super popular, right? Despite it being incredibly difficult, despite it having no tutorial, despite it being like the learning curve is brutal. And even if you somehow get some cool loot that you're really happy with, you need to bring the loot with you back into the wild to try to kill people, and then you just die. At the end of the day, Tarkov is still an FPS, which makes it easier to understand than a fighting game for most players. That's where you lose me, I think. I don't know. I think a lot of people can understand how a fighting game works. In a fighting game, you know that the two characters have health bars, and whoever loses their health bar first dies. That's it. I don't think either are complicated. A lot of people say things about fighting games like, well, you got to learn the motions, or you got to learn this, or you got to learn that, or there's like lots of difficult things that you have to get to before you can get into the fighting aspect. When I think about MOBAs, or I think about Battle Royales, I think these games have just a numerous amount of things you have to get through before you get to the core gameplay that everybody wants to get to. You know, the core of these games is point and click. Correct? Like at their lowest level, it's like aim at a guy, shoot. But in reality, in like these battle royales, we're not even gonna make it to shooting yet. When you play a battle royale, you start and you spawn.
Here in North America, but New York's the only place we're keeping them off the street. Now we can't have parties like in Spain where they go all night. Shut down in North America, or like Berlin where they go another night. All right, You see, I love this place that I've grown to know. All right, North America, and yeah, I know you wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole. 'Cause we're North America. Round 3. Fight.
Star fades in space as a candle flickers, burning out of
Fight.
live our lives with grace as our candles flicker, burning out of pain. thicker. Passing with the years. Live my life with fear as our leaders bigger. Passing with the years. Passing with the
New challenger. Get ready for the next battle. KO. Round 3. Fight. Round 4. Fight.
contradictions all right there. Is it true? I've lost all confidence. How can you tell me the way I should live my life? Great. You win. Get ready for the next battle.
We're on Easy Street, and it feels so sweet. 'Cause the world is
Round
but a
one.
treat when you're on
Fight.
Easy Street. And we're breaking out the good champagne. We're sitting pretty on the gravy train. When we sing every sweet refrain repeats right here on Easy Street. It's our moment in the sun, and it's only just begun. It's time to have a little fun. Everybody to come and see why you should be on Easy Street. Yeah, we got a front row seat. Oh, to a life that can't be beat. Right here on Easy Street. It's our moment in the sun, and it's only just begun. It's time to have a little fun. Everybody needs to come and see why you should be on Easy Street. Yeah, we got a front row seat. Oh, to a life that can't be beat. Right here on Easy Street. 'Cause the world is but a treat when you're on Easy Street. 'Cause the world is but a treat when you're on Easy Street. We're on Easy Street, and it feels so
Round
sweet.
3.
'Cause
Fight.
the world is but a treat when you're on Easy Street. And we're breaking out the good champagne. We're sitting pretty on the gravy train. And we sing every sweet refrain repeats right here on Easy Street. It's our moment in the sun, and it's only just begun. It's time to have a little fun. Everybody to come and see why you should be on Easy Street.
Round 4.
Yeah, we got a front row seat. Oh, to a life that can't be beat. Right here on Easy Street. It's our moment in the sun, and it's only just begun. It's time to have a little fun. And everybody needs to come and see why you should be on Easy Street. Yeah, we got a front row seat. Oh, to a life that can't be beat. Right here on Easy Street. 'Cause the world is but a treat when you're on Easy Street. 'Cause the world is but a treat when you're on Easy Street. We're on Easy Street, and it feels so sweet. 'Cause the world is but a treat when you're on Easy Street. And we're breaking out the good champagne. We're sitting pretty on the gravy train. And when we sing every sweet refrain,
Round 1. Fight. Not cool. Not cool. Lights out. KO. Round 2. Fight. challenger. Get ready for the next battle. Round 1. Fight. Not cool. Round 2. Fight. KO. Round 4. Fight. Not cool. Not cool. KO. Final round. Fight.
Lights out!